Hey everybody, I'm John Granato. Mornings on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. That's when you can hear me. That's Josh Jordan. He's on weekends on Moneyline. You can hear him. And you can also, you see his work on sportsmaphouston.com. He edits that. And if you have not yet subscribed, hit the subscribe button so that you get all of our content right here. Hey Josh, we're a little over 5 weeks from the trade deadline. A.J. Hoffman, when he was with us, remember, rest in peace, A.J., he told us that Dusty Baker, the criticisms weren't really fair because the Astros didn't have the arms. They didn't have the ingredients. When you went in the refrigerator, it's stinky. You can't make a good dinner out of stinky stuff in the refrigerator. Well, I don't know if that stuff is stinky. I just don't know. Is it still that he doesn't have the arms to work with? Or is he somehow, I know what a lot of fans think. They think Dusty's misusing him.
That's part of it. I don't want to sit on the fence, but I think they got some good upgrades. Obviously, Graveman's been fantastic. I love watching him, but for the most part, you're seeing Stanek still in high leverage situations late in the game. Still Ryan Presley. That's not much different. I worry more about the 6th and 7th inning guys. That's where, Yimi Garcia and guys like that, are they going to come around? And, with the playoffs right around the corner, you almost wonder if you'd be better off, after 5 innings, bringing in, somebody like Urquidy or even Odorizzi, somebody that can come in, give you 2 or 3 innings and get you that bridge to the 8th and 9th inning guys. So there's some guys I feel like Dusty could do a little better. He's playing the matchup game a little too much for me, but I do feel like the talent's improved, but now you have so many guys to pick from, your odds of picking the right guy, it goes down.
Well, and yeah, listen, that game in particular might be a microcosm. Urquidy, you had to get him out of there because he's just back. He already threw 70 pitches. Christian Javier, I was not encouraged at all about, although he didn't give anything up, he still was wild, and you just can't trust him, especially bringing him in with any runners on base. You just can't right now. He's got to get better at that. Brooks Raley is throwing well, and he takes him out for a guy who's not throwing well in Yimi Garcia. I can't trust Yimi at all right now, and hopefully he gets better, but he's not that same guy that you could close games with in Miami, that's for sure. Graveman has had a few issues. Presley is giving up runs right now. It's a long season, and guys are going to, at some point, the Peter principle is going to kick in. They're not going to all have .08 ERAs. That's just not going to happen. They're going to give up runs. Now's the time that Presley's doing it, but he's got to get out of this by the time they get into the postseason. And it's starting to get a little scary because we're getting closer.
No doubt about it. I think the postseason's a different animal, especially this postseason to last postseason. Christian Javier was brilliant last year, right? But there was nobody in the stands. How's it going to feel in a high-leverage game when you're coming in the 7th inning and now you got people screaming and it's a different environment? I don't want guys getting beat because their nuts are in their throat and they just came in a high-leverage situation. Yeah. And you mentioned Javier, you're afraid he'll throw 2 or 3 balls right away and then he's got to come over the plate. So I think Dusty's got to be careful not to go to guys too soon or use too many arms.
Well, we saw just this week, Odorizzi complaining because, hey, why are you pulling me with 67 pitches? We've seen Greinke complain about it. They just don't trust him here. We know he's going to go after Luis Garcia because, he's Luis Garcia and he's not Justin Verlander. Plus, you want to watch out because he's hit more innings than he's ever hit in his career. I mean, it's guy after guy after guy. A lot of people think he's micromanaging. He really is going to that bullpen way too much. It's not his M.O. It wasn't his M.O. He run arms into the ground, but now he's running the bullpen into the ground, which, A.J. did a lot of that as well. If you weren't a frontline starter, A.J. was going to the bullpen, and by the time all of these guys, Davinsky and all of those guys got to the postseason, they were done. Will Harris was done by the World Series.
No doubt. I mean, they even said Harris was tired before Game 7, and they still used him in a high-leverage situation. But if you look at our comment section on Facebook, Dusty is taking most of the heat for this. He really is. But to your point, AJ took a lot of criticism for his use of the bullpen also. But back to Greinke, they save him throughout the year because they want him ready to go in the playoffs, in high-leverage situations. And then when they finally will get to the playoffs, they'll end up pulling him early, saying like, well, we didn't really use him late into the games during the season, and doing that now in the playoffs. It's hard to ask a guy to do something that he didn't do all year. So you're like, well, which one is it?
Absolutely. No, and that's what you're facing with Odorizzi as well. It's going to be interesting to see whether or not, hey, listen, Urquidy could hit the pen. You got Javier there, Odorizzi in the pen. You know, I know he loves Brooks Raley, but I don't know how you can bring his 5.8 earned run average in a big game in the postseason. Blake Taylor, Graveman, Presley. You're getting more and more options, but some of them are going to be, like you said, in situations that they haven't seen before. Urquidy coming out of the pen. Odorizzi coming out of the pen. We know he's pretty good at first time he faces hitters. Maybe that's what he should be doing instead of trying to go 7 innings.
I completely agree. I mean, we saw the numbers. I mean, the OPS of guys facing him the third time through their lineup, they're all Babe Ruth. I mean, it makes no sense to be using him in that fashion. And I'm curious, you know, Odorizzi said they talked about it and they were men about it. And, you know, he expressed his anger about being pulled with Dusty and James Click. You know, they say it's resolved after one day, but, you know, be a man. I don't know if, you know, with Odorizzi, was that being a man after a huge walk-off win, going to the media and complaining about being pulled out of a game that the team won in exciting fashion? A huge victory over the Mariners. I don't like the vibes with Odorizzi, you know, and he's like, I'm an experienced guy. I should be treated like such. But I don't know. He's not acting very mature, in my opinion.
Well, he's got two choices this postseason. Either not be on the roster or go to the bullpen. So, you know what, Jake? I know you're a veteran guy, but either you want to pitch out of the bullpen or you don't pitch, because that's probably going to be the only way you'll see Jake Odorizzi in the postseason.